Hello everybody, this is a big novelty, a forum which is real by us in a very cozy, very experimental atmosphere, but the only person I can touch the fabric is me, and I'm very sorry for you, but we are coming there. A fantastic development here on this table, developments which everybody, also the people who make much more corsetry product, have to be taken very seriously, is the influence of sport. A lot of lingerie has become a hybrid product. We see all kinds of fabric which is specially made for that. I have made here a little group of white fabrics where we see especially the importance of textures like MR Création, absolutely gorgeous, and then this fantastic product from Gemma Knits with infrared effects. Lots of meshes going forward. Of course, the enormous importance going forward of spacer, even for masks like this, from a company which is called Performatex. Then we see that this development of spacer is also touching to the embroidery sector. We have Union as an enormous good example of how you have to follow the lifestyle of the consumer and not being too close to its own traditions. Union is suddenly very active in sport fabrics. I love this composition of lac and mesh from Union with the text positivity wins always, and I'm very agreeing with that, because for me as well, what can we do when we are negative now? I'm also quite impressed by the new colorations. You see a lot of people who are looking at art. Actually, you see that all kinds of new observations are coming here, and here we have from two laces a very good example how art and also different patterns are coming into lingerie from Siva, who has this season a really astonishing collection. Then here that I want to mention especially the development of the legging. The legging as a permanent basis of our multi-active wardrobe with excellent developments from neck steel, from Iluna, beautiful fine meshes as well on this prototype from Gemma, and of course then this fabric, which is one of my favorites of this whole table. It's a beautiful example of technology together with development, with evolution in a company from Beyond Design, who we normally know for very gorgeous jacquards. Here a beautiful legging fabric that is clean cut as well. In Temptation we find a gold mine of lingerie history, of lingerie diversity, of lingerie beauty, and certainly when it comes to laces. I would like to start with the ongoing fascination for animal designs. It's very often combined with surface effects and new yarns. Here flocking going forward from Iluna, now completely sustainable. We have jacquards from MR Création, and of course metallic effects, both here with animal influences but combined with flower designs from both Iluna and from Union. And then this magnificent idea, there's a lot of that on the whole forum, double-sided materials, especially for beachwear, very interesting. Here from Rockle from Isabella, completely gold on one side and an animal jacquard on the other side. And then we are of course in the world of big seduction as well. We all know that during the confinement erotic plays were very bought as well, all kind of little play stuff. We have here an example of that is part of the lingerie history, but especially in the seduction it's lace and embroidery, and we see an ongoing fascination for super lightweight fine denier laces. I have a couple of examples here of beautiful laces here from Chantilly lace, an embroidery from Bischoff Gamma, a lace here from Siva, fantastic work as well. That is also typical for the new collections. New borders of the laces, sometimes very modern, much more worked. Another lace which I like a lot here is from Siva, which is a combination of geometric and flowers, again with that very intrinsic work on the edge. Here we are in our enormous longing for free nature, for beautiful countryside, and we have seen that internationally. This idea of walking in the meadow, we have an enormous inspiration here as well from a French designer which is called Jacquemus, who even has his fashion shows on the campagne in a field in the meadow. Beautiful illustration of simplicity, that is also part of one of the big trends. We call it respirer. This illustrates simplicity and a little bit of nostalgia. Personally, I love this sort of slightly muted colors a lot, with a little bit of brown to them. The element of our longing for creativity and a little bit of retro, illustrated with a comeback of the high days of the 70s. Our whole look to the countryside of France is also illustrated by Anne de Bretagne there as a plâtre with a little cape in this typical important cloquet effect for beachwear. We see that more and more manufacturers try also to illustrate the modernity of fabrics by adding a little bit of shine, a little bit of lurex, especially the soft lurex. A very interesting design here from Decorine from Hong Kong. Then we are, of course, here when we are in the meadow, forgot this one of my favorite little simplistic floral designs from Union. And then we have a big comeback of broderie anglaise, which is illustrated in all different ways. Here from Hangang. Cotton is coming back also in packaging design. For instance, we are not giving plastics bags anymore. We are now talking about cotton. This is again from Eurotextile, completely recycled and sustainability. There's an enormous demand for sustainable elastics. Here we have a very good example of cotton modal blends from Dali Garments from Hong Kong. Every good quality manufacturer we have found now on Interfilière Connect has something to say, especially here in a beautiful example with prototypes from Bischoff Gamma with this gorgeous guipure which is saying save the planet, all in cotton. And then of course very, very important to keep a strong look at the packaging materials you are using. We see that there is alternative materials for all the plastics, and the big specialist there in our Interfilière Connect is Lego Plast. We are now talking about shapewear. Shapewear is a very important development where we see that especially manufacturers concentrate on free cutting and fabrics which are ready for bonding. Even the lace manufacturers are into that. But I still feel that in shapewear there is not enough choice of very beautiful things. My favorite here is this beautiful, modern, very interesting fabric from Lila. Organic pattern and a multiple stretch done all directions, very high percentage of elastan. This is one of my favorite, which has that transparency but incredible amount of functionality, which is of course very important. And there's another all over which we like very much. That is this one from Hangang. Also, it is the strength of it. It is the short stretch, which of course is very important, and that we find find in with the real specialists. Then, of course, there is real specialists we find in Gemma. There is also, to my big surprise, quite a beautiful development at Decorine in Hong Kong. This is without any doubt everybody's favorite color group. It is also an illustration how our cultures worldwide, there is a lot of interest in other techniques as well, but there's also in the real original crafts of the world. It is a celebration of a world which has no boundaries anymore. It is terracotta, and yellow and ochre colors are very, very beautiful for lingerie. And you know, you have to really experience with it, how to work with it. It's very, very difficult to work with these colors in very cheap materials. We have done our best to put the most beautiful materials together. It's not only a question of color, it's also a question of design. There are a lot of these designs which are directly related to other cultures. Beautiful embroidery here from Broderie Le Vaux, a fantastic combination from two different techniques, flocking and a matching lace, which is absolutely gorgeous. And what you should know especially about Iluna, of course, is the fact that all their laces are biodegradable, which is a big investment and a fantastic novelty. What we want to illustrate here is also the importance of little patterns. Sort of these are coming, especially they make us think of markets in Morocco and everything along the Silk Road. We love also this touch of turquoise in these fabrics, and then together with real amber, it's certainly something which the modern consumer would appreciate very much. Touches of lycra, touches of lurex make this also a very festive theme, very interesting here in those fabrics from Nextile, who has a whole series of soft to the hand qualities with lurex. This table represents perhaps more than any other table the worries of the planet, the need to create a very clean solution, especially in textiles. It's not only in very practical plain fabrics that the ecological awareness is growing. I take this lace from Iluna as an example, which has that fantastic Amni Sol Eco from Fulgar, and that is a good example of the enormous progress that is made in every section of the lingerie industry. The first strong development is perhaps the partnership between Lenzing and Husung Criora. Fantastic step forward. Collaboration is one of the fashion words. But another manufacturer where immediately taking advantage of this partnership is Sanko, Turkish cotton knitter who has made such an amazing progress in the years we know them, and they're always very true constant members, exhibitors on the interfiliere fairs. At this moment, Sanko not only has developed a lot of incredibly interesting blends, especially blends of bamboo. Also the key brand in the cooperation of Lenzing and Roika is a blend of a tencel with Roika lycra. That are my favorite fabrics from Sanko, honestly, is this double face material. It's very soft and it's perfect for a modern age 2020 garments which can be sleepwear. The advantage of this fabric is that it can be printed on one side. It is a cotton with a little bit of polyamide in, super soft. Also, pure linen is certainly coming on the market. We see also that the evolution, and that is an enormous step forward, because we were actually constantly asking ourselves what can we do with all this polyurethane, but there are new developments. Here we have a cotton spacer, which is quite new, and one of the laces also I want to put your special attention for is a lace from Chantilly, because this is what we call a pre-dye lace. This lace is greige. That's how it comes from the machine in this color. Its footprint, of course, because it is dyeing and finishing, remains one of the polluting elements in textiles. This whole area of fantastic sustainable knits is not only a question of very basic colors, although there are beautiful ranges of colors we see, especially for luxury at leisure, but it also arrives much more now in the younger market with beachwear fabrics, with beautiful mixes of fabrics, always with a very, very soft handle. This table is not only about fabrics, it's about a social movement which started already before the pandemic, where especially the idea of inclusivity became very important in relation to body size, but also in relation to skin color. That has especially had an enormous impact in countries like America, which is a big client of the fashion industry. And we should realize that in the observation of different color, we don't talk about just one skin color, we talk about a whole range. We asked also Iluna to dye a whole range of different skin colors, which are an evolution of a study we made also in a relationship with cosmetic colors, because cosmetic colors have an enormous influence also on the choice of good skin colors. We also believe that although the focus of everybody is in second skin fabrics, which we have here in also on this table, beautiful second skin qualities which are very often have multi-stretch qualities. We see this super stretch, which we have seen already developed important collections like soft stretch from Chantel. That is an enormous criteria at the moment. But we also believe that it's not only plain fabrics with the consumer wants, it's especially this very interesting selection of young, very easy to use laces. Also, you have to realize that our younger world population is very, very ecologically aware. So these are all in biodegradable qualities. Beautiful stretch fabrics, different quality, free cut, all that is there. And to illustrate that idea that every human being in the future has a right to buy what he or she wants. This table that is called To Escape is a real story of love. It's a story of love that is related to the real technology of the fabric industry focused on lingerie. We wanted to especially put attention to everything that is inspired by the past, because we see very, very clearly an enormous back to basic, but not back to basic just simple fabrics, minimalist design, but back to the basic technology and skill of the industry. And who else is very much based on skill than the lace people and the embroidery people. Here in our 5 little domes we have put embroiderers really in focus. We have looked at the most beautiful examples of their technology, their adaptation to the lightness of our times in which we live. And then there is a little cry of here in this embroidery, which is made by hand. Stitches of love are the mood and moral boosters of our times, because we need it. We see that especially younger designers and startups find all those ideas which are from the past, like this is a very good example of a lace that is purely inspired by laces which we know from perhaps 100 years ago, but now in lightness with stretch in it. A very telling example as well are this type of designs which are typical for the big commercial trends at the moment. It looks like little patchworks of little bands. And then of course the development, the whole enthusiasm for something we know as a big speciality. Broderie anglaise, but now translated into lace with exaggerated holes. You see Roya embroidery, you see especially they're also still very, very focused on their past in guipure, which is very important. And then we have here beautiful examples of laces, but also in jacquard, for instance, we see this sort of, I'm always, when I see this jacquard, it makes me think of a beautiful old hotel particulier and the wallpaper and curtains. A fantastic example of a jacquard from MJ Création, and that is also very visible here, where there's a pattern which reminds us very much to wallpaper. But also look at this lovely example of a old-fashioned embroidery, and you can easily see that being worn on the beach in combination with a swimsuit. Fantastic also is how some of the manufacturers go back to their own archives. A lot of the lace manufacturers, both in China and in Europe, they're coming from curtain laces. That was Rachel laces, that was their real technology. Suddenly Rachel laces are also very much in focus, and there the link, especially the link with beachwear, is very important because a lot of young people wear those as tunics together with their swimsuit. We have here a sample from which is made as a prototype made with tencel luxe. This is the first attempt to work in a lace pattern, a body with a higher neckline, and this is typical, again, an example of garments in lingerie which are multi-wear. Multi-wear in a way that you can imagine that you can wear that with a high neckline, also together with a jean, with a trouser. And then the other beauty here, again an example of the mix of different cultures, inspired by Chinese garments with beautiful little buttons, a high neckline, again a garment which is not only for lingerie but also can be worn outside.